So, folks, I think we have to engage a little bit with what it means in this country to be a far-right Christian nationalist. Because one of the things that happened when Talarico won the primary is suddenly the entire country started having a reckoning with the fact that he presents Christianity in a fundamentally different way from how Christian nationalists promote and display Christianity. And I'm going to play you a clip here. This is from Joshua Hames and Brooks Potiger, who is, incidentally, Pete Hegseth's pastor. And here's what they're saying about Talarico.
Public enemies, these are the orcs at the gate. You are not called to love the barbarian horde that is planning to break into your city and, pillage, plunder, rape, and mutilate you and your people. Right. You don't love that horde. That is your enemy. And you pray. This is where you have imprecatory psalms. This is where you pray strongly. The psalmist is not shy. God, destroy them. Make them as dung on the ground. Right? So, but Madison and I were talking about that. And so I say, even in the debate, I think you might have seen it, but that I had on campus the other day, I pray that God kills him. Ultimately, that means killing his heart and raising him up to new life in Christ. That's the first thing.
We want him crucified with Christ.
That's exactly
right.
I
want him to be, I think, Saul of Tarsus, Talarico of Tarsus.
Yes,
That's what I want. Who would say, I was holding the garments while they stoned Stephen, and now I'm that's what we want.
Yes, we want death and new life, right? And if it would not be within God's will to do so, stop him by any means necessary, oh God. Public enemies.
So there you hear these two guys openly calling for God to kill James Talarico, and if not, to stop him by any means necessary. Now, just as an FYI, when you hear religious extremists calling for God to kill someone, that is a call to their followers and to their audience for someone to go out and do God's will, which is murder. That's how this relationship kind of works. So they're just openly calling for the killing of James Talarico. But there was something really interesting at the beginning of this clip, too. I'm going to play a bit of it again here.
These are the orcs at the gate. You are not called to love the barbarian horde that is planning to break into your city and, pillage, plunder, rape, and mutilate you and your people. Right. You don't love that horde. That is your enemy. And you pray, this is where...
Now, it's interesting that he says, you're not called as a Christian to love that horde. They're your enemy. And I can't help it. Old habits die hard. I grew up in the fundamentally religious, evangelical Christian background, all that stuff. I just want to direct you guys over to Matthew 5:43 through 44. Or 45, rather. You have heard it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy, but I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you.
Bring him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Dur.
Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. Very much appreciate the support. But, quite literally, Jesus does call you to love your enemies. In no uncertain terms here. He says, I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even pagans do that. Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. Jesus literally calls on his followers to love their enemies. I don't know who these guys are talking about, but it is absolutely not related to their book. It is related to their violent fanaticism that has embraced far-right conservative ideology. Okay? And it's interesting to me because this is not an isolated incident, right? Media Matters actually went out there and collected a bunch of the right-wing attacks against James Talarico, trying to come across as a fake Christian, uses fake sermons and fake passages from the Bible, a skin suit of Christianity, a creepy-looking heretic and fake pastor who pathologically lies to Christians over and over again about what the scripture says. Benny Johnson attacked Talarico, claiming his beliefs on abortion and faith are straight up demonic, and called him a demon who's perverting my faith. Greg Kelly from Newsmax called him a false teacher for his views on trans kids, which is that they're fine and also loved by God, and the LGBT queer situation, quote, which has gotten completely, totally out of hand. Newsmax Mercedes Schlapp is said that he's trying to come across as a fake teacher, which that doesn't make any sense, Mercedes. Why would somebody try to come across as a fake teacher? Wouldn't they just try to be coming across as a teacher? Get your hateful thought together before you let your mouth run with it, okay? Like, you've got Chris Plant on Newsmax saying Talarico's preaching pseudo-sermons and left-wing fake religious sermons and fake sermons, fake passages from the Bible, tortured and misrepresentations from the Bible, calling him a freak. It is a non-stop. A lot from Newsmax, but also, like, just beyond that on Fox News. Lawrence Jones criticized Talarico's faith, claiming that in Texas, our pastors don't talk like that about God and gender, when clearly they do, because James Talarico is a pastor from Texas. Will Cain on Fox said Talarico is perhaps more radical than Jasmine Crockett, and claimed he's concerned that Texans will get wrapped up in this, skin suit of Christianity while selling the wokest of woke left politics. It's weird. It's wild. But they're all attacking him so hard because they recognize he is a threat to them. He is a threat to their version of Christianity that is predicated and fueled by hatred, right? Like, they are afraid of him because they recognize that in his conception of love and kindness through the gospel of Jesus Christ and through his Christian faith, that he represents a potential death blow to what Christian nationalism offers, because he's literally given sermons to packed churches about how Christian nationalism is heretical, about how Christian nationalism is essentially a cancer within the Christian church that must be excised. He has made no secret about the fact that he is the enemy of Christian nationalism. They all recognize him as their enemy as well. It's also interesting here because I wanted to take a look at a particular video put together by Brett Cooper about a week ago here. Let's just see how Brett Cooper handles this situation. She put out a video titled James Talarico is the Pastor from Hell. Let's take a look, shall we?
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children who showed up yesterday at the state capitol.
Now, I have to say, after spending the last 5-ish years talking about the weirdest things that I find on the internet every day, very few things take me aback. And then I come across this Presbyterian pastor nutjob who was literally so insane that I am dedicating an entire episode to him. So let me introduce you all to James Talarico, who is running for Senate in Texas. Now, before I tell you about this man and why you should be very concerned, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you've not already, already. And of course, ring that notification bell if you want to stay
Get
up to
that
date
bag, girl.
to every single
that
thing we
bag.
upload on the channel. And if you want behind the scenes content, farm vlogs, all of that fun, jazzy stuff, go to cooperconfidential.com. That is my subscription platform that we built from the ground up for you guys. All right, so diving in today, I just want to say that yes, this man is running for Senate in Texas, but this episode should matter to you even if you don't live in Texas, because it is important to see the playbook the Democrats are most likely going to be using in 2026 and 2028. We need.
What is interesting is that Brett Cooper cut off the quote, which is, I'm just saying this because it is on my mind, the trans children who showed up yesterday at the state capitol to advocate for their humanity. They shouldn't have to, but it was an inspiration to watch. He's talking about the fact that trans kids from all across Texas showed up to advocate for themselves and declare their humanity and to argue that they deserve the same human rights, the same access to medicine that cisgender kids do. And they shouldn't have had to do that, but it's inspiring to watch people stand up for their rights. That is objectively a brave thing to do. It is something that is wonderful to see. It is good when people stand up for their rights in a country that has argued we have inalienable rights. And they shouldn't have to do that.
I thought Femme Shapiro was Jewish. Did she transition both in her gender and her religion?
I don't think Femme Shapiro is Jewish. I think she must have transitioned in her religion as well. It's true.
To be vigilant, we need to be aware, and Mr. James Talarico is just the perfect example. So before we dive into the insane videos that are circulating on the internet right now, let's just take a look at the highlights from his campaign page. So
Cool.
You have him here. The first thing that comes to mind is I feel like
I'm sorry, did you just use a Zelda sound effect to transition?
his campaign page. So you have him here.
Is that just a pitch shifted version of the Zelda sound effect? Am I going crazy right now?
Right now, let's just take a look at the highlights from his campaign page. So you have him here.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
The first thing that comes to mind is I feel like every one of us knows some lesbian woman that looks exactly like him. Like that is the energy that this photo is giving. But his website reads, meet.
Okay, in the interest of fairness, James Talarico does kind of look like a certain kind of lesbian. I will grant her that. I will grant her that. She is correct in that regard.
Exactly like him, like that is the energy that this photo is giving. But his website reads, meet James Talarico. James is an 8th generation Texan, former middle school teacher. Ugh, that's weird. Trans kids. And Presbyterian.
Why is that weird? Like, wait, why is it weird that he finds it inspiring to see kids advocate for themselves? He's literally a teacher. That was part of his job. What are you talking about? Yeah, she is trying to imply that he's like a pedophile. That is what she's trying to do. She's trying to be like, oh, he loves trans kids. Huh. What a weird thing to do. Because again, the only way conservatives can kind of like wrap their mind around trans people is that like it has to like trans people have something to do with a sick and disgusting fetish.
If Weird
Right?
Al can be a lesbian, why can't Talarico?
That's true. I did see that presentation video. I know which video this is. Yup. I've seen it, and it's a good video. Everyone should watch it. I'm linking it in all the chats. Absolute banger of a video. And yes, Weird Al, honorary lesbian. Talarico, also an honorary lesbian. That's true. Groomers is what she's thinking. I mean, I think it's partly groomers, but I think more it's she's like, he's into trans kids. Like she's implying that he is specifically a predator looking for trans kids. When like the far more obvious answer is that teachers take pride in watching students and children of the age that they teach flourishing and doing well and standing up for themselves. That's a pretty important component of wanting to be a teacher.
Seminarian. As a state representative, he's led the fight against the billionaire mega donors and puppet politicians who have taken over Texas. Now he's running for U.S. Senate to take his fight against corruption to Washington and to win back power for the working people. All right, so what this man is doing is he is positioning himself as a down-home Christian moderate man. Like, color me crazy, but I do not think transing the kids is moderate. And even in...
There's a big leap from being proud of seeing kids stand up for their rights and engaging in the civic process, and saying that James Talarico was part of like some kind of forced feminization program at the school he worked at. I just want to pause right here. If a conservative somehow wandered into my content here, like, are you serious right now? You think that he, like, James Talarico was part of some secret transing program at his school? Or even if you think like it was done out in the open, how? Like, what, he had an after school club for transing youth? That's not a thing. Transing the kids is not a thing, and neither is straighting the kids. Or, you know, like, I'm sorry, the same way you can't make someone straight, you also can't make someone trans. It doesn't work that way.
2026, it's not moderate because the majority of Americans are against it. The majority of Americans are kind of like, yeah, it's a little step too far, but James might not be aware of that polling because he is certainly running with this idea. Now, as you will see, none of his other positions are that moderate either. Anyway, that clip that I showed you at the top of the episode today is going viral this week after James won his primary in Texas. He was going up against Jasmine Crockett.
Well, that's why she cut the original quote off. Yeah, exactly. Can I actually find the original quote?
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children who showed up yesterday at the state capitol to advocate for their humanity. They shouldn't have to, but it was an inspiration to watch.
Something that you love that's not.
That is just not, that's not a sussy comment to make. Did he ever claim to be a moderate, or is she hinting that it should be taken as read that a pastor should have moderate politics at most? I think she's just interested in misrepresenting him at this point, largely because, I don't know, somebody who is straight up saying, I want to end Christian nationalism, and the only minority that is harming America is the billionaire class. I think that's somebody who's a little bit more progressive than they let on, but that's just me.
Blew that woman right out of the water, which honestly, I mean, good for him, I guess, but honestly, she wasn't a great candidate to begin with, but honestly, I'm a little sad.
Also, Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs yet again. Thank you for supporting the show. I very, very much appreciate it.
Sad because making fun of her for the next however many months, 9 months, was going to be just an absolute treat. But instead, we have to talk about this fake Christian pastor. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that now the entire internet is...
But see how interesting it is? How interesting that we're only a couple minutes in, but she's already called him a fake pastor multiple times. And he's not a fake pastor. He's a real deal pastor. Like, they have to discredit his faith because the way he practices it is antithetical to their political ambitions, to their political goals. And they recognize that. And in that recognition, they see him as an enemy.
Paying attention to this Democrat megastar now that Jasmine Crockett is out of the way. He has set his sights on Washington in the last 48 hours. My feed has been filled with videos of him. Somebody commented on that first video and said, instead of something like Jesus Christ or America or my dogs or even something more superficial like college football, this was the answer he chose to connect with his fellow Texans, which is so true. So either he cannot read the room or we should be really worried about our...
It's weird how she can't call him a bad pastor, only a fake pastor.
Well, right, because they have to reject the very notion that what he is saying can at all be rooted in their religious beliefs, right? Like, they need to discredit him, not just him, but his version of Christianity. And also, just real quick,
Texans, which is so true. So either he cannot read the room, or we should be really worried about our friends over in Purple, Texas. Somebody else.
This is just me. I think maybe you should be a little worried about your friends in Purple, Texas. It sounds like they're, I don't know, getting up to some crazy things like respecting trans kids and thinking that trans people deserve rights and whatnot. I know, crazy new frontiers being being explored over there, but they might actually, somewhere in Texas, actually support children who have the courage to come out as trans. And again, you can really see that terrifies them, right? Like, it is terrifying to her that he managed to win the primary with that messaging.
Posted this photo and said, has anyone seen this guy and Isaac from Children of the Corn in the same room at the same time? Nope. And also, I have to say, he does look suspiciously like Elliot Page, if you catch my drift. Just saying. Anyway.
I don't catch your drift at all, actually. Are you trying to imply James Talarico is a lesbian and also a trans man? Like, it's wild how bigoted she is, right? Yeah, she's not making sense. You know, for the first time ever, I have to unironically use this button.
Fucking pronouns!
What are you saying, Brett? It sounds like you've gotten your pronouns all confused. My God.
The big thing over on X right now is people arguing over whether James Talarico is a real Christian or whether he's more Christian than all the MAGA voters, whatever it is. But here's the thing. I am not a theologian, neither is he, to be honest. Anyway.
Also, okay, I know it's a little thing, and I know we're already beyond the point, but can we just, like, quickly go back?
I am not. Watch my draft. Has looked Children of the Corn.
Has anyone seen this guy and Isaac from Children of the Corn in the same room at the same time? And I understand that this is a joke about how Talarico looks, but simultaneously, there is a part of my brain where it's like, no, because Isaac gets killed by Malachi. Stop. Don't make a reference to this film. Would you harumph. Wow, spoilers.
In the same room at the same time.
Nope.
And also, I have to say, he does look suspiciously like Elliot Page, if you catch my drift. Just saying. Anyway, the big thing over on X right now is people arguing over whether James Talarico is a real Christian or whether he's more Christian than all the MAGA voters, whatever it is. But here's the thing. I am not a theologian, neither is he, to be honest. Anyway, I am not a theologian. I am not here to do that. I will leave that debate up to the people who are more well-versed in that arena. But I do want to shine a light on what this man is obviously doing from a strategy standpoint, because he is using his faith as a means to an end. It is being used as a way to connect.
Yeah, and conservatives would never do that. Conservatives would never weaponize faith in the United States. That would conservatives would never ever do that in America. Hey, let me play you guys a clip from Paul Weyrich real quick. This is from the co-founder of the Heritage Foundation and the American Legislative Executive Council, a massive corporate lobbying group that wrote legislation for politicians to sign. Let's listen to what he had to say.
They want everybody to vote. I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections, quite candidly, goes up as the voting populace goes down.
Yeah, just as an FYI, in case you're wondering how the Save America Act fits into all this, that is exactly how it fits into this. Because if you know anything about Paul Weyrich, fun fact for you guys, he's got a fun little Wikipedia page here. And wouldn't you know it, his ordination section, very short, very interesting. After the Second Vatican Council, Weyrich transferred from the Latin Church of the Catholic Church to the Melkite Greek Catholic Church and was ordained as a deacon for the Melkite Greek Catholic Eparchy of Newton. Again, Second Vatican did a lot to conservative Christians here in the United States, to say the least. Anyway, I know that's an aside, but I wanted to point out as well that after his ordination, he became the press secretary to Republican Senator Gordon L. Allott of Colorado, and that he went on to go found the Heritage Foundation in 1973, and went on to work with a lot of different folks, including Jerry Falwell, in the formation of the moral majority. Essentially, Paul Weyrich is the guy that injected evangelical Christianity with politics. Up until that point in time, it had been, largely not a one-party thing to be a Christian in America. You could be Republican, Democrat, whatever. You and still be a Christian. And that's still kind of true, but there then became a concerted effort under Weyrich and Jerry Falwell to politicize Christianity, specifically Southern Christianity. And this is, by the way, where you get Southern Baptists. If you've ever wondered why there are Baptists and there are Southern Baptists, well, the answer to that is it's rooted in some racial issues, we'll say, to say the least. Some racial animus, even. Jerry Falwell's idea was, what if we could harness this evangelical fervor and these Southern Baptists, the KKK Baptists, yes. If we could harness their hard line on, racial segregation and all that jazz, and weaponize it for a political end. And that became the project of the next 30 years of American politics. And they were incredibly successful at it. You should all look into the history of the moral majority. Very interesting. But I just want to say, Brett Cooper speaking here about how could he politicize his religion when she is the product of a movement that has spent the last 50 years specifically weaponizing Southern religious movements against the very concept of democracy, which, for the record, Paul Weyrich was also anti-democracy, as you heard in that clip. So, it's pretty rich, to say the least.
Connect with voters and create a palatable brand for most of normal America who just wants a common sense candidate who makes them feel good. And up until this weekend, I will say, it has been working. I mean, even the Joe Rogan, Matthew McConaughey types of the world who want the squishy, uncontroversial, moderate, but sort of conservative ideas are falling for his shtick. Listen to what they said on a recent episode of Joe Rogan's podcast.
James Talarico explained it to me. He's a Texas representative who's also in seminary. He's a very religious man, and he opposes it. And he's a Democrat. And he said essentially there's two very wealthy men who are they're Christian fundamentalists, where they want to replace all the funding for public schools and put in private Christian. They want a theocracy in Texas, essentially. I don't know if he's correct or not.
But he's saying maybe I don't have a problem with this. I do have a problem with this is a beginning of an overcompensation.
No, he has a problem with it being in classes. He does not agree with it at all. And he's a very religious man.
Right.
Very religious man, like a great Christian.
Right.
And he thinks that this is how you're going to repel people away from Christianity.
A great Christian who doesn't want religion taught in schools. Make it make sense. Anyway, listen, on the surface, I get it, because this man's branding has been effective and it is fit for the times. He was certainly more professional seeming and serious than his opponent, Jasmine Crockett. That obviously is saying something, but I just want you to look at this ad that he produced back in September. This was the first time that I ever saw him. Just watch.
The biggest divide in our country is not left versus right. It's top versus bottom. Billionaires want us looking left and right at each other so that we're not looking up at them. The people at the top work so hard to keep us angry and divided.
I do have to say, she's doing a really bad job making him look bad.
Because our unity is a threat to their wealth and their power. So their social media algorithms and their cable news networks tear us apart. They divide us by party, by race, by gender, by religion, so that we don't notice that they're defunding our schools, gutting our healthcare, and cutting taxes for themselves and their rich friends. It is the oldest strategy in the world. Divide and conquer.
Like, I can't believe that she just, like, played that clip. Like, if you're gonna play the clips to make them look bad, you definitely shouldn't be playing this. Like, oh, I'm shocked. She's gonna unintentionally make her audience
The biggest
Talarico
divide
supporters.
is between top and bottom. He actually might be a non-honorary queer person. KEKW.
You're right. You're right. In this world, there are only two types of people, tops and bottoms. But sometimes, a third can come into being. A legendary type. A switch.
But we will not be conquered. We're underdogs in this fight. We're going up against those billionaire mega donors and their puppet politicians. We're going up against a rigged system. And we're going up against a lot of money. But I'm a former middle school teacher. I don't scare easily.
Okay, I cannot keep watching this. Basically what happens is he continues to say a bunch of empty platitudes about unity. The camera continues to pull.
Wait, a bunch of empty I don't know. I think it was pretty clear about what he was talking about. I think he was I don't think those were empty at all. I think he was making a compelling point about the fact that, like, we shouldn't let ourselves be divided along race or gender or, you know, what have you. We should instead be realizing that our true oppressors are the capitalist class that seek to use us for labor. Seemed pretty straightforward to me.
Back, the music swells, it's twangy, it's Texan, all the things. Like, come on, the man is milking it. Oh my God, like he's in the back of a pickup truck, preaching, perfectly poised, right in front of a church.
I love that her criticism is that this content appeals to people like me a little too much.
Texas flag is hanging suspiciously, perfectly in frame. He's got a
yeah, it's a fucking ad spot. Yes, they set it up to look like that on camera. You want us to believe that that's an actual corner of your house and not just like some kind of soundstage? Like you meticulously set up this corner for yourself to stream in? To make your show? Oh, but it's look at the posters. There's a Jaws poster. Oh no. It's to appeal to the youth.
Black kid situated in frame, elevated on the pickup truck, only one of three in the crowd, I think, so I'm sure that they propped him up right there to be like, look, the black community.
As I look at her set, there's not really that much to compliment there, unlike, you know, the clearly thought out presentation of Talarico's videos.
He loves him. We gotta get you guys too. They've got the old school twang going on. They've got the filter that makes you feel like you're watching some kind of second coming of JFK. It's ridiculous. And he's not actually saying anything of substance. He's not really talking about...
He's milking it. Why can't he be more like the very hetero, very cis, very Christian Lindsey Graham?
Oh yeah, Lindsey Graham is such a Christian. He would never get drunk, let alone drunk on bloodlust.
Policy, it's just, you know, unity. Look up, not right and left. Come together, my...
I mean, I think it's pretty clear that when he says look up at the people oppressing you, he's saying we're gonna tax those billionaire fucks.
Brothers, and that is what he wanted people to take from that video. A feeling, an essence, a vibe of who he is. And let me tell you, until now, most people have not seen through the filters and the branding and the perfectly positioned chapel and little black boy. They have been eating it up. Just like I've been eating up my new supplements from Jevity. Because guys,
Okay, one thing I do appreciate about Brett Cooper is that she has some smooth transitions into her ad reads. They get me every time.
I am officially a Jevity absolutist. I am obsessed with this, which is
It's been 5 days since I ate real food. I'm only existing on these supplements.
Not James Talarico. I mean, look at these comments from that TikTok video. One person said, billionaires want us looking right and left at each other, so we're not looking up at them. Absolutely true. Ella's dad commented and said, I never vote Dem, but I will for this guy. Why? What did he say that could sway you? That he's a middle school teacher so he doesn't scare easily? Like, seriously, Ella's dad? Come up with something better. Somebody else.
I don't know. Maybe they're basing that decision on more than just one video. Like, say, the other things he says and the policies he's talked about. Can I just take a quick look here real quick? Okay, so when I go to his website...
Ad reads just don't hit the same after card homs. They put so much energy into their skits.
So true, Sake. Thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. Let's just take a look at the issue page. Corruption and democracy. Taxes and cost of living, public education, healthcare, freedom, family and faith, immigration and border security. Wow, it looks like he has a lot of different policies one could look at. Let's look at taxes and cost of living. I was born to a single mom, worked overtime at a hotel. I'm a former public school teacher. Let's see. I know what it's like to work early mornings and late nights in an underpaid, stressful job. I know what it's like to be crushed by student debt and medical debt. I know what it's like to feel like the system isn't working for you. Meanwhile, the richest 1% of Americans now own more wealth than the entire middle class. Dozens of the largest corporations pay $0 in federal income taxes. They lobby for policies that cut their own taxes while raising taxes on all of us. And they lobby against regulations that would stop them from monopolizing markets and artificially jacking up prices. It's a big reason that everything is so expensive right now. We need a government that serves working people instead of giant corporations. And we need a government that rolls back the barriers keeping us from living the American dream, whether they're unnecessary tariffs or outdated zoning regulations. As a legislator, I have fought for working Texans. I've stood up to billionaire mega donors and special interests. I've worked to cut bureaucratic red tape, passing major legislation to lower the cost of prescription drugs, housing, and childcare. Now I'm taking this fight to the U.S. Senate. My priorities in the U.S. Senate: create a fairer tax system, make billionaires pay their fair share in taxes, including by imposing a higher tax on their income and capital gains, and ending the dubious buy, borrow, die loopholes that billionaires use to grow untaxed wealth. Make corporations pay their fair share in taxes, including by raising the corporate tax rate. It's fallen by half since the mid-1980s, ending the carried interest tax loophole that allowed hedge funds to avoid paying billions that they owe, and rolling back other extreme tax breaks that allowed the largest corporations to pay $0 in federal income taxes. You know, I'm not even done reading through this area, and it kind of sounds like he might have a few policies cooking. You know, might have a few policies cooking on this website, because I've made it through this much, and there are a lot more policy proposals here.
Commented and said, it's not about blue or red, it's about common sense. He's right. Yeah, so true, Kingpin, New Jersey, so true. But you know, the thing is, actually, for James Talarico, it actually is left versus right. It actually is very partisan, and actually, his policies are not about...
Well, I guess it is partisan in the sense that he is running for political office, and his opponent in the upcoming election is going to be a Republican, so... I guess in that sense, yeah, he's a bit partisan because his job is literally to make the case for his side to win.
Common sense. They're batshit crazy. They're things that you would expect to see at a West Hollywood pride parade, except he's dressing them up in a tweed suit while holding a Bible. That is what is happening here. And this man is hoping that Texas is just too dumb to notice. I mean, just listen to what he said when he won his primary last week.
We are running against the broken system and the powerful people who broke it. They're scared of the movement we are building. They're gonna throw everything they have at us. They're gonna call me a radical leftist. They're gonna call me a fake Christian. They'll call our movement un-Texan, un-American. They'll call us a threat. The only truth is, we are a threat. We're a threat to their corrupt system.
Okay, just speaking of cherry-picking voters to be in these types of promotions, I want to know what happens behind the scenes when they're choosing who stands behind a candidate. Do they go, okay...
It's like two guards arguing over halberds versus cowbells. It's intrinsically partisan.
God damn it, Sake Tanuki. God damn it. I love it. Thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. And also, like, how do they choose who stands behind someone? They typically get the people who've been hitting the streets, the people who've been knocking doors, the people who've been phone banking, the people who've been volunteering, or the people who work on the campaign. That's how they typically choose those people. Those people all contributed. Like, that's why they're even there at that event in the first place. It's incredible how poorly this hit piece on Talarico is going for her. I can't believe she put this out. How many views does this have? 117,000 views?
Okay, but we need the black woman. We need the old boomer lady right behind him. We need the massive body positive girl to be behind him holding a sign. We
Yeah, it couldn't be because those people genuinely support him.
need the Mexican lady over here. I mean, literally, it's like they are casting a Hollywood movie of diversity. I got off on a tangent. That is not actually what I wanted to.
Yeah. We all know only white people live in Texas. The only way a black person or like a larger person could be in Texas is if they were casting for a movie.
To talk about in regards to that video. Anyway,
the only way a Mexican lady could be in Texas is if they were casting a movie.
Back to the point, James, you are right. We are going to call you all of those things because you actually are all of those things. So, you know what? Let's just make it easy. Let's just start with the thing.
Oh, okay. Let's just start. We're 12 minutes into this video. We're over halfway done. Substantiate any of your claims, please.
Christian part. Again, I'm not here to debate the Bible or anything, but I would argue that, you know, considering you are a Christian man, a Bible-thumping Christian man studying at seminary, probably shouldn't be following OnlyFans models on Instagram. And yet, oop, you do that per Axios.
Yeah, because Jesus Christ famously didn't hang out with sex workers. Oh, wait. He did? Huh. That's so strange.
Talarico follows 10 Instagram accounts of women who are popular porn actors, OnlyFans models, and have accounts on escort sites, according to publicly available accounts viewed by Axios in recent weeks. Real Christian, James! Real Christian. Now, these comments were hilarious. One person said, to be fair, it would be the first heterosexual thing he's done. Again, major lesbian vibes. Another guy said, cue it up! But Jesus had dinner with prostitutes. Following porn girls is Talarico being decent and just like Jesus. Yeah, I'm sure it's coming if they are not commenting that already. I did see one person comment and say,
okay, and what is your rebuttal exactly?
Like, shut up, who cares? I bet all the trad conservative husbands do the same thing. Let him live. This doesn't mean anything. Okay, well, dude, just because other men do it doesn't mean it's right. That actually means it is a bigger problem. And I know that this is a crazy concept in modern politics, but for an elected official, a representative, somebody more importantly who is leading with his faith, who is plastering Presbyterian seminarian on every single social media bio, on every single web page, should theoretically be leading by example, should be holding himself to a higher standard. And I would say that if it was somebody on the right, if it was somebody on the left, that is just across the board a standard that you should hold yourself to. If you are a Christian man, you should not be following OnlyFans models.
In Jesus Christ, Vampire Hunter, he slays vampires out with Mary Magnum, a sex worker, with a gun, and Santos, a legendary Mexican pro wrestler.
That sounds amazing. I love it. I'm gonna go, like, is that an actual thing? Oh, hell yeah. It's a movie. Let's go. Oh, this is incredible. The power of Christ impales you. I love it. I love it a lot. But I don't know. Look, I feel like if you are someone in this circumstance and you're like, good Christians shouldn't follow pretty ladies on Instagram, sometimes pretty ladies are really funny and really cool and have interesting and awesome things to say. All right? You should not be robbing yourself of knowing about other people who are cool and interesting and fun. Like, if it's going to cause problems in your life, sure, you got to moderate that, but like, I don't know. I feel like there was some saying about if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. You know, like it just kind of seems to be like it's not a big deal unless it's a problem for you.
Crazy idea, I know. But guys, James' affinity for escorts online is just scratching the surface with this man. Colin Roog on X aptly summed up what Texans are getting themselves into. He wrote, Democrat and Presbyterian seminarian James Talarico has won the Democratic primary for U.S. Senate. Here are some of his beliefs. Thinks illegal immigrant children are more patriotic than American children. Thinks the Torah tells you how to give an abortion. Thinks the trans community needs abortion too.
Okay. All right.
Thinks that there are 6 genders, thinks that God is non-binary, thinks the Bible supports gay marriage, thinks that Jesus supported abortion because he talked to and was kind to women, thinks the story of Mary's Annunciation is proof that God supports abortion. Oh yeah, but guys, remember, he's not a radical leftist. No, couldn't.
Can we just like go back to this list real quick? Number 1, we'll just go through this. We'll just go through this, okay? Illegal immigrant children are more patriotic than American children because they came to America for safety. They chose America rather than happen to emerge from an American of vagina. Like that, yeah. The element of choice there is perhaps arguably more patriotic. Thinks the Torah tells you how to give an abortion. God literally has rules for how to perform an abortion if you think your wife is cheating on you. There's literally a part of the Bible that talks about it. Like Google Bible, the bitter water. Yeah, the bitter waters. Exactly. Thinks the trans community needs abortions too. The trans community does also need abortions because trans men can sometimes still get pregnant. This isn't like difficult to understand. If a trans man still has a uterus, like obviously they can get pregnant. Thinks there are 6 genders. Now this one I find interesting. I googled it. It apparently comes from a 2021 debate about a bill for like about trans kids in sports. Essentially, Talarico made an argument that there were 6 biological sexes because he was talking about like variations in like chromosomal sex. But like, you know, I don't know that he's correct on that one, but he's got spirit, all right? Like he's good. He's good egg. And also, if you have that additional context, then of course that makes a bit more sense. Let's take a look here. Thinks God is non-binary. God literally is non-binary. God is a non-physical entity. I'm sorry. Do you think that God the Father has like a heavenly penis? Do you think that God the Father has like divine XY chromosomes? Like what are you talking? Like he's not, like God's non-binary. God can be anything. God is anything. This is like arguing whether or not Cthulhu is a guy or a girl. Who gives a fuck? Like, come on. Like, obviously, a creature that transcends all mortal understanding may in fact be any gender it so chooses, including non-binary. Like, this is what's crazy to me is like, God is all powerful. Okay, is God so powerful that God could be non-binary? No. Okay. Well, all right, I guess.
Depends on how God got Mary pregnant. Joseph deserves more answers.
Poor Joseph. Oh, God. Joseph sitting on the ultimate cuck chair. Thinks the Bible supports gay marriage. I don't think it, like, says you can't get gay married in the Bible, actually. So, in a sense, yeah. Thinks Jesus supported abortion because he talked to and was kind to women. Well, he did tend to believe that women deserved bodily autonomy. So, that would be in line. and thinks the story of Mary's Annunciation is proof that God supports abortion. I gotta be honest, I need to refresh my memory. Annunciation. Oh, okay. God announcing to Mary. Honestly, I don't understand the logic of that one, but I'm sure he'd explain it.
Abortion. Oh yeah, but guys, remember, he's not a radical leftist. No, couldn't be him. Could not be him. Miss it with that. We cannot accuse him of being a radical leftist.
I mean, he's a progressive. I don't exactly know what a radical leftist is. I guess conservatives just keep calling Joe Biden like a Marxist extremist or whatever. So words about the political positioning of different candidates have lost all meaning for conservatives.
Don't forget it. On that note, this was the most perfect edit. Just watch.
They're going to throw everything they have at us. They're going to call me a radical leftist. Our trans community needs abortion care too. God.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. I found an article on this. So Talarico's argument is apparently that through the Annunciation to Mary that she God is like gonna do the whole embodiment of Christ thing through her. Talarico's argument is that implies a level of consent from Mary to do this. And so thus, like, the centering of consent in the Annunciation is by extension like an argument about abortion as well. It requires consent to bring a child to term.
Is non-binary.
Modern science obviously recognizes that there are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
Prison is violence. It's hard to imagine a world without prison. Just because it's hard to imagine doesn't mean you shouldn't.
Prison is violence. Yes, the biblical, godly thing to do is let rapists and murderers.
Well, wait a minute. That's not what he said. He said prison is violence, which conservatives talk about that all the time. Like, conservatives are like the first people who will make a don't drop the soap joke. Conservatives are like the first kinds of people who revel in the idea of people languishing in prison and who want to spread mass incarceration. Like, they want to do this because they understand it as violence. Yeah, like the entire concentration camp system, proliferating as a result of ICE is exactly an extension of that. Alligator Alcatraz and the torturing with mosquitoes, etc. Yeah.
Just roam our streets because, God forbid, we push violence upon them. What is this man doing? Like, I'm telling you guys, this man is a nut job. Somebody commented and said, James Talarico's woke Billy Graham shtick has the same function as Tim Walz's trans-affirming Elmer Fudd persona. Democrats
both were very successful, though. Like, that the problem that she's like really struggling with here is that Tim Walz went over very well, and Talarico is going over very well. And, like, that's a problem for her, I guess. But she's not making an argument against it. She's just pointing out that they're really popular.
Desperately want a rural, religious-coded white male who can make their most unpopular positions seem American as apple pie. And guess what, guys? It didn't work in 2024 with Tim Walz and his jazz hands. It is not going to work for lesbian-looking Talarico.
It actually worked really well for Tim Walz. He should have kept with it. Tim Walz should not have allowed himself to be muzzled.
Oh, sorry. Because everyone saw through Tim Walz. And this commenter is not lying whatsoever. Like, Tim got on stage after the election and he said the reason why he was picked to be Kamala's running mate was so that he could code speak to the American man. The man who runs on stage doing jumps and jazz hands was supposed to code speak to my husband?
Not to your husband. Your husband's a fucking Republican piece of shit. Like, he is, however, a very successful football coach. Like, I don't know. Sometimes people move their bodies. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry Tim Walz wasn't, I don't know, crushing a beer can and downing like the entire thing and then pulling out like an AK-47 and just like dual wielding on the stage before throwing it down, burping, and then talking about how much he hates like the queers or something like that. Like, it wasn't for your husband. It's for a different group of men.
Absolutely not. That was never going to work, just like this man's facade is fading more rapidly every single day. Anyway, moving on from that, the same guy who is pro-abortion also wants you to know that you cannot be Christian and be okay with greenhouse gases. Just watch.
You can't call yourself a Christian and destroy God's creation with greenhouse gases.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. This is driving... I just want you guys to know, like, my upbringing in, like, the Christian church is driving me insane right now. It's driving me insane. He's right. Like, in Christian, like, in Christian thought, God gave the planet and all the animals, everything on Earth, to the province of man. I.e., human beings, as a duty, are to take care of the planet. It's one of the first responsibilities given to human beings. And, like, what he's saying is true. You cannot be a Christian and simultaneously against saving the planet. Like, if you call yourself a Christian, you better be damn sure you're doing everything you can to keep and preserve Earth.
So much. Sir, in my humble opinion, you also can't call yourself a Christian and be okay with the murder of an unborn child. But hey, what do I know? Clearly, my friend, we are working from...
Not much, apparently. You can't call yourself a Christian and be in favor of the murder of an unborn child. I'm sorry. Brett Cooper, are you familiar with the Amalekites? Because God commanded the genocide of the Amalekites in the Bible. And not just like the killing of all of their men, but the killing of all of their women, children, pregnant women, and all of their animals as well, down to the last fucking fetus. So if you're like, well, you can't be a Christian and be in favor of this, then how the fuck do you reconcile, like, your belief in a divinely good God that would order a genocide? I don't know. It just kind of seems like maybe you might want to check yourself with your own holy book before you start running your mouth.
Completely different premises, because in his mind, Jesus was actually a radical feminist.
Did they teach you in Sunday school that Jesus Christ himself was a radical feminist?
Oh yeah, James. Jesus was for sure like slay queen, chuck that little crotch goblin and eat the patriarchy, throw it in the trash. Like, what are we doing here, guys? Now, the other thing that I want to point out about that...
I don't know. Maybe you need to read Galatians 3 again, lady. Like, there is neither Jew nor Gentile, neither slave nor free, nor is there male and female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus, which is a pretty revolutionary thing to say at the time, you know? To equate men and women on equal terms within the church, that's actually a relatively progressive thing for the time. It is, in fact, a way of subverting the idea of male dominance over women, and is instead a leveler, a decree from the early church that, again, men and women are not made to be one over the other, but instead are equals, at least in the church.
Radical feminist clip is I just want to zoom in on the crowd here. I did not see a single individual that was under the age of about 55 or 60 years old. He is preaching to a room of boomers. These are not boomers watching Jesse Waters and Fox News. They are the ones who have MSNBC on loop. These are the boomers who are leaving their retirement homes to don taco outfits to do the No Kings protest. That is what we are dealing with here. So number one.
Why are you playing like laugh tracks over that? Like, Yeah, they're doing it to be funny, but also to like protect the protest from being like beaten by cops. Oh, those are the old people who are out there caring about their communities. Oh, okay.
One, that should be frightening because this is what our grandparents are apparently being preached at in church. And number two, how embarrassing is that for progressives? That your primary audience is geriatrics. Anyway, moving on.
Okay, wait a minute. As a progressive socialist individual here, my primary audience, as far as I can tell, is not the elderly. It's actually primarily younger people. However, there are a surprising array of different age groups that watch my channel. Hello, all of you. I appreciate all you being here. But like, she's simultaneously being like, this guy's suckering in the young and the old. It's like, what? He's not tricking anybody here. he's just doing sermons.
From that, I will say this whole thing really does remind me of an interview that I did recently with a drag queen. I think it should be coming out this month. We'll see how that goes. It was crazy. But this drag queen, he told me similar things. He was saying, Jesus was queer, Jesus was a feminist, etc., etc. And it's very easy, like for me, to sit there and laugh it off as utter absurdity when the person telling you that, who's sitting across from you, is a man wearing a miniskirt with a full face of makeup and a wig and like 7-inch heels. But it's a lot harder for people, especially normies who are not chronically online scrolling on X every day like we are, when it is a pastor up at the pulpit preaching, telling them these things, when it is the most normal, waspy-looking man alive telling you that Jesus was a radical feminist who wanted abortion for trans people. Like, that's insane. And that is why the Democrats are so excited about this man, because he is a radical leftist going undercover as your average waspy white Joe. But guys, do not...
What's incredible to me is that she keeps saying that James Talarico is going undercover when, like, literally watching him for 5 seconds is the opposite of him being undercover. Like, he's very open and honest about who he is.
How dare this preacher preach and expand his followers? How un-Jesus-like.
Exactly. Like, this guy isn't making it a secret about what he believes. He's giving hour-long plus sermons about it. He's going on podcasts and talking about it for hours. This isn't a secret. He's not going undercover and like pretending to be something he's not. He's just, that's how he chooses to look. And he just happens to have good politics. Didn't God nuke an entire town, Sodom and Gomorrah? That's true. That's true.
Worry, speaking of the whiteness, because he has been actively listening and learning and doing the work.
For me, prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness, my own masculinity, my own certainty, my own ego. It's a never-ending process, and it's a painful process.
Yes, the painful process of understanding your whiteness. Thank goodness Jesus is there to walk you through that.
I love the idea that Christianity in particular, a religion built around the idea that humanity itself is imperfect. And like, she's just like, oh, look at you, thinking about a bunch of the different ways you fall short. Huh, not like us, real Christians. And it's just like being familiar with the religious text itself, right? Like, you're commanded to do this. You are commanded to reckon with your failures and to do better, to always be striving to do better. Within like the Christian church and the Christian belief system, you are like commanded to repent, and repentance requires turning yourself around, understanding what you did wrong and striving to do better. And that requires a level of introspection. It requires a level of engagement with yourself, with your biases, with the different things that make up your identity. It requires engaging with these aspects of yourself. And the way she just like laughs it off is frankly incredibly revealing about the hollowness of her own religious beliefs.
Radical act. Snaps for you, James. Now, I will say he was even brave enough to admit back in 2020 that his whiteness protected him from COVID. These are real things that he tweeted in 2020. He said, "White skin gives me and every white American immunity from the virus, but we spread it wherever we go, through our words, our actions, and our systems. We don't have to be showing symptoms like a white hood or a Confederate flag to be contagious." Oh wow, an analogy for COVID, James. The only cure is diagnosing the virus within ourselves and taking dramatic action to contain the spread. The first small step is proclaiming loudly and unequivocally that hashtag Black Lives Matter. Excellent, James. You're an ally. Thank you so much. Did you enjoy White Fragility? Did you leave a 5-star rating on Goodreads? I'm sure you did. Like, James, you might even be slimier than...
I love people like Brett Cooper, you know? Like, Brett Cooper is out here being like, "Oh, do you think that black people deserve the same level of humanity and civil rights as white people? Huh, James? Huh?" Like, yeah, he does. He's said that a lot. Also, how is that a dunk? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's her self-awareness is below zero, holy shit. Right? It's so bad. It's so low. And I know we're spending so much time going through this incredible trash fire that she has put forward in front of us, but honestly, I'm having a blast going through this absolute train wreck.
Gavin Newsom, and that is saying something. This might be controversial, but I actually think that Gavin Newsom might be more of a normal, moderate guy, but he's been playing the role of this, woke progressive.
God, I'm gonna just Google Gavin Newsom and look at like the first image result that pops up. All right, like. He's just a normal guy like you and me. What do you mean? He's just a normal guy. He's just, he's... Okay, all right.
Man to stay in power, but honestly, the man just wants power. He just wants to be president, and he's going to say whatever he will have to say to make that happen, which makes him dangerous still. But James seems far more calculated and sinister. There is something totally off-putting about him. Like, I have the heebie-jeebies when I watch any of these sermons. So seeing these next comments...
I mean, you have the reason she has the heebie-jeebies, right? The reason why this affects her more than watching a man who has a very obvious desire to hold power is because she understands that man. She understands Gavin Newsom and Gavin Newsom's intense desire to dominate and hold power over others. She doesn't understand James Talarico's version of Christianity that he espouses, wherein everyone is respected. Everyone is a child of God. Everyone is deserving of love and respect and compassion. And the fact that he sincerely believes that, I think it comes into conflict with her hate-filled version of Christianity that she's built herself into. And I think that it shakes the foundations of that belief a little bit. And I think that for people like Brett Cooper, that's scary. And that is, of course, me assuming that what she's presenting here on screen is even remotely accurate to who she is as a person, which admittedly is a big leap. I think that what scares her is that Talarico is honest and is sincere. And that's a really powerful quality that isn't appreciated very much in conservative media.
I'm going to read you actually made me feel good, even though I know it was not the intended effect. People were saying, James is the literal opposite of Charlie Kirk, and that is a damn great thing. We need to protect this man at all costs. And you need to see, she wrote that 4 days after Charlie was shot in the neck. Another person said the exact opposite of Charlie Kirk. Now here's the thing, those commenters aren't wrong. James is completely different than Charlie Kirk, and that is a good thing. Because Charlie would run circles around this man in terms of intellect and consistency and
I've watched a lot of Charlie Kirk content. Conservatives, I need to let you know something. Charlie Kirk wasn't a terribly smart guy. and the points he made weren't very good. You just liked them because you agreed with his points. It was the an incredibly strong version of confirmation bias. And like this mythologizing of him and his abilities, it just doesn't hold up when we have literally hundreds of hours of footage of him making complete and utter dog shit arguments. So there you have it. That there's some hard truths for you there.
Faith and family. Charlie was a Christian who did not distort the Bible for his agenda and his politics.
Charlie absolutely distorted the Bible, like all the time, whenever it suited his purpose. Don't lie. We have the footage.
And his faith were harmonious. They were not a means to an end, which is so clearly what is happening with James Talarico. James is playing a part. He is playing a role, even down to his ads and the way that he's preaching and the people that he has in the background. It is all an act. And he uses being a Presbyterian seminarian to shield his incredibly radical, controversial ideas while playing the role of a moderate Christian everyman. Meanwhile, Democrats everywhere are celebrating him for finally being a real Christian, not cherry-picking politics like the bad conservatives to push his agenda. But I mean, come on, take a look in the damn mirror. That is exactly what he's doing. He has cherry-picked love thy neighbor and essentially ignored every other passage in the whole book. But considering that the lot of you really only like faith and Christianity when it benefits you in winning new voters, I wouldn't expect you to know that.
Big news. We were driving back from church and we looked over and there was a hut.
Charlie Kirk was a very smart and powerful man, but not as smart and powerful as the new White House ballroom.
Have you seen it? There are a lot of trucks out there.
Full of piglets.
Well, I do like piglets.
My mom wants you to have an aesthetically pleasing farm vlog, so you are going to have one.
That's nice. Is the pain over? Yes, we've finished. We've finished with our food. Also, can I just as an aside, just the idea that like Charlie Kirk was accepted by the Christian community as like a strong and valid Christian. Just not necessarily. This is the #1 Christian magazine in the UK. I must confess that I was never perturbed by Kirk's trenchant views, which mirrored a plethora of his US counterparts down the decades, most of which are now regarded as reactionaries. What really concerned me was that he described himself as a Christian, yet so many of his opinions appeared incongruous with the savior he followed. Like, this is what people who are deep in the Christian faith actually thought about Charlie Kirk. Not just like people who are, you know, every now and then in church or go every Sunday but kind of tune it out. Like, this is what a lot of people who spend all their time thinking about Christianity, this is what they thought about Charlie Kirk, which is that ultimately his beliefs were not compatible with that of Christianity, or at least the kind of Christianity one actually sees when one reads the New Testament. Like, you can clearly see how he got to some of his ideas from the Bible, but most of them, he had a destination in mind and he made himself a path to get there out of tortured phrases and passages from the Bible. And that's not to say everything in the Bible is great. I'm just saying, like, as somebody who grew up with it, I read a lot of it, I thought a lot about it, and I'm pretty familiar with the text, even if I have fallen away from the religion itself. And dude was a dog shit Christian at best, and a complete and utter charlatan at worst. And James Talarico, on the other hand, I believe that guy is sincere in his belief, and I believe that guy has come by his ideas honestly. And yeah, I think he's also an excellent politician. So all that being said, folks, if you got anything out of this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment. Comments longer than 8 words help in the algorithm more for some reason. And also get organized, folks. Join your local Dems, radicalize them, make them more progressive. Let's board the Democratic Party and jettison the corporate Democrats who've been compromised by billionaire cash and super PAC money. And let's also organize in our DSAs. Let's organize the labor and the unions in our community in order to form a coalition on the local level that then we can build on as a foundation for future movements, okay? The best time to do it is right now. We have a lot of things going on at the local level that people can get involved in, like choosing what your local Democratic Party platform is even going to be. You can make your DSA more effective. And if you need help getting started, folks, join our Discord, reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems, reach out to Gamergy for help with your local DSA. And if you don't want to join the Discord, you can come over to riverboat.gg and come over here and talk with either of them in the chat here. And last but not least, folks, check out ImogeneOlivia.com, gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes. Also tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It is comfortable, it is sexy lingerie, non-tucking as well. And we have new styles, sizes, and colors coming in the near future. So please check that out, ImogeneOlivia.com, link down in the description. And let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, daily, plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack.